posting his dubs. They're posting his dubs. They're clip chimping him. You can hear the audio cutting mid-word. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is weak. You got nothing. You got no smoke. The weirdo Republicans are reacting to this. I mean, here, John Podhoretz treats boy himself. Appointing Tim Walz, who praised Ilhan Omar, is like appointing the head of Sister Soldier's record label to run the Federal Communications Commission. And that's not like a random guy who's extremely online. That is the editor of Commentary Magazine, okay? This guy is supposed to be like a representative of the normal Republican side. They are actively bludgeoning themselves in the head, okay? Timely reference, brother. Oh, no. I mean, he's always been okay? But it's great. Great messaging, man. Thank you, John Podhoretz. Thank you. Doing great. Doing great. Chaya Raichik running with the Libs of TikTok account owner, Chaya Raichik, running with hashtag Tampon Tim. You might be wondering why hashtag Tampon Tim? Because they made a push at Capitol to fund menstrual products for students in Minnesota public schools, saying that pads and tampons are as essential as toilet paper and soap in school bathrooms. That's why they're calling him Tampon Tim. Bro, you're so stupid. You are such a, like, what are you saying? What's wrong with you? How could this be seen as a bad thing? What's next, dude? Are you going to yell at him for feeding children? Is that what we're doing? Yeah. Oh, man. Stupid ass Tim Walz. He wants to feed our children with free breakfast and lunch, dude. What a animal. What a bad guy he is. Team Trump is already out with a brutal ad against Kamala Harris's VP, Tim Walz. They're really good at this.
Signing a bill into law that requires schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms. Or than signing legislation allowing...
Yeah, this is not going to work, man. It's not working. You're... okay. You are a... This is not going to work. It's not going to work at all, man. It's not going to work.
Minors to receive sex change operations. Try electing the man who signed those bills, Vice President of the United States. Enter Chief...
Conservative attacks get too overeager and try to cram so much rage bait in to the point that you don't even understand what they're talking about anymore. It just comes off as conservative drivel, which I guess works well if you're already a GOP voter, but not much else. Exactly. Exactly. It's like literally what Jesse Waters did the other day. Remember when he was like, oh, the Democratic Party has actively become the party of Dylan. We understand what he's saying because we're brain broken. He's talking about Dylan Mulvaney, a trans TikToker who was on one Bud Light can. You are signaling to the most insane people in your base when you talk like that. But ain't nobody else cares about that. You're delusional. It's like, it's literally like, imagine a thing that is like obviously very top of mind in this stream. When I say top of the, everybody goes, oh, top of the hour ad break, right? But no one outside of this community perks up when they hear top of the, like the way you do. Okay, because you've been adjusted to have this Pavlovian reaction. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Okay, but you cannot run a national narrative like that because most people won't know what the you're talking about. Okay, but at the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break, and if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. It's like trying to run the Democratic Party with Mao references. Yes, it's ironically what like a lot of leftists that are, leftists who are, activists for sure, who are always on the ground at the forefront of like community movements, right? Getting mad that like Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is not like saying we should nuke Israel or something. Okay, like that's not like what are we talking about? That's not gonna happen. Like he's not gonna. Ain't nobody that is coming near a crumb of power is running like that. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Ay. Anyway, let's continue.
Tim Walz. As governor of Minnesota, Walz supported legislation that endangers minors, hurts women, and puts radical ideology ahead of common sense.
Yeah, Tim Walz hates minors. That's why he wanted to feed them with food. And everybody knows what a good governor, like the governor of Arkansas, is supposed to do is teach minors a lesson about the value of a dollar and what it takes to earn a dollar. That's why Sarah Huckabee Sanders deregulated child labor laws deregulated child labor laws, you know? He wants to hurt women by allowing them to get medical procedures and defending them getting medical procedures such as abortions.
Now Kamala wants Walz to enforce those laws on a national scale. Tim Walz, too radical.
too radical. Yeah, he's so dog, definitely. I really do hope, I really do hope that the Dems don't get scared by this and just lean into it. And they're like, these guys they think feeding children is a radical proposition. They want to constantly talk about trans people. That's like 10,000 total people across like 8 states. And they're always trying to dunk on them. They're bullies and they're scared. They're powerless and they're scared. And they constantly want to get you to be invested in this narrative because they don't want to feed children. We are the party of feeding children. Say that, run that every day. Walz has done a phenomenal job running that narrative over and over again. Okay? I'm pretty sure Ben cut a video praising Sarah Huckabee and Walz feeding kids ruins their work ethic. Yeah.
I'm not going to get involved in making a choice. What I will say, though, is I've been impressed by Tim Walz's ability not only to communicate to the working people of Minnesota, but to also be an advocate for them. So I like Tim very much, and I wish him the...
Wow, I can't believe. How far left is Kamala's VP Tim Walz? Last week, Bernie Sanders specifically named him as his dream choice. I can't believe one of the most consistently popular congresspersons in the United States likes Kamala's VP pick. Surely this is a good angle of attack. It's like, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. They are so online, dude. He's a senator, congressperson. What do you mean? What do you think Senate is a part of? Do you think Congress is just a House of Representatives? Honestly, this election cycle is so for me because my mom is so deep in Q. I genuinely think she might just Trump loses. But like we as a country need this. That's insane.
You think he'd fit the bill?
I think he could be a great vice president, yes.
Yeah, Bernie likes him. That's real bad.
Urinals and women's restrooms for women who have, and they just want to stand and pee.
I think people just making too big of a deal about it. I don't really care.
Ooh. Naughty words. Okay, so we should or shouldn't?
I mean, I don't really care.
Okay, what about tampons and pads in men's restroom for men who have periods?
If you're really getting that worked up about it, why does it matter? Like, I don't care. It's just sitting there. I'm not going to take it.
Okay, so we should provide men with tampons.
I mean, if a dude wants a tampon for some reason, he can have a tampon. That's not my business.
What would he use it for?
I don't know. That's his problem.
What would he use a pad for?
His problem.
Do you think they should seek medical advice if they're having...
I mean, if they want to, I don't really...
Dude, this was one of my #1 locks in perpetuity. The hyper focus on like what people are doing in the bathrooms being like the actual position and not the fact that like trans women get to use the women's restroom. Like you are legitimately for bringing a camera into a bathroom, constantly thinking about where people are. You are okay. I've been saying this for so many years, and I am legitimately glad that there are at least some goddamn Democrats out there who also say the same shit. And now it's becoming a part of like national discourse. And it is such a successful narrative. Okay. It is such a successful narrative that like the Republicans have nothing to counter it with. Okay. They have nothing to counter it with. They're like, I'm not, shut up. You're also a childless cat lady and not black. And you wanted people to have tampons in the restrooms. And I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I'm going to put a camera in every bathroom to show you how not I am. It's like, dude, it's great. It's great. It's awesome. Keep doing it.
Really care? Why should I care?
I don't know. I care about people. If they're not, if they would want to.
I care about people's personal rights. They can do whatever they want. It's none of my business.
Yeah. Transphobes get so worked up about period product in men's bathrooms, where you could so easily point out that it could just be so they can give products to the people they know who need it. Yeah, exactly. Fox News has nothing on Waltz.
That still matter. So let's look back at his record. Waltz's first executive order as governor was to create a diversity, equity, and inclusion council. He also supported.
No, I can't believe he did that. Oh my God. I hate him.
Open borders.
You know, he talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
And he pushed socialism.
He's saying that walls don't do anything to curb immigration. He's right.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
Ooh. Oh, wait, and there's more.
They're posting his dubs. They're clip chimping him that you could hear the audio cutting mid-word. It doesn't matter. This is weak. You got nothing. You got no smoke.
Signed an executive order protecting gender-affirming care or surgeries for minors in his state. And in 2020, he was the governor of Minnesota during the George Floyd.
Oh, they just skipped through that. Okay, got it. All right, great.
Riots that burned part of Minneapolis to the ground.
Yeah, it's crazy that they were like, hey, medical decisions should be kept between a doctor and the patient. Okay. Wow. Hey, guys, I'm so angry. Aren't you angry? No, medical decisions should famously not be kept between a patient and a medical professional who literally has all of the data and knowledge. It should be between a doctor, a patient, and me, random guy on Twitter. I should be making these decisions. Not a doctor and a patient. Why am I not in the center of these conversations? It's not between a doctor and a patient. It's me, random guy living in Staten Island. I get to make these decisions. Small government, by the way. I love small government, except for when I make the decisions about medicine.
It was so bad that Waltz himself called out his own response.
Please stop on Staten Island. Excuse me. I will never stop on Staten Island. Okay. What the? That is one place I will never stop on. You're out of your dang mind. Okay. Holy hell no, dude.
I got a call from a friend and a dedicated public servant. Senator Torres Ray called in her district, and it was on fire. And there weren't any police there. There weren't any firefighters. There was no social control, and her constituents were locked in their house wondering what they were going to do. That is an abject failure that cannot happen. If the issue is that the state should have moved faster, yeah, that is on me.
I like that he's like openly taking ownership of his failures as what like a good, like taking accountability. Like that's insane. They're making fun of him for taking accountability. That is insanity, dude. Like that doesn't make him look bad, dumbass. Folks, accountability has got, it's woke. This man is taking accountability. What a woke.
Back with us. Reja, it is official. Kamala Harris has posted on X and Instagram.
That's right, Lindsley. She just posted on social media to sort of lay out her case for choosing Governor Tim Walz, to really introduce the American public to this governor who, unlike many of the other top contenders who were vying for this spot, doesn't really have a household name. And she writes about, you know, one of the things that stood out to her was his conviction on fighting for the middle class. You can see here, she points out that he was, you know, is a governor, a coach, a teacher, a veteran, and he has delivered for working families before, as we've been talking about. He served Congress.
By the way, another massive lock that I had was if Shapiro was picked, everyone in the Democratic Party, in the elite side of the Democratic Party, would regularly left bait and regularly on the progressive wing of the party that will now actively push for the Democratic ticket. but they would have actively fought against the Democratic ticket. And the Democratic Party's establishment leaders would constantly have this narrative at top of mind. They would constantly be talking about how, like, oh, the left is, that's why they don't like Josh Shapiro. I knew that that was going to happen if Josh Shapiro was the VP. And I said this yesterday when I was talking to Michael from Pennsylvania. Okay. And the Dersh now, because they didn't go with Josh Shapiro, it's now up to the Republicans to keep crying about how the Democrats are actually, that's why they didn't go with Josh Shapiro. Okay. Great. Wonderful. Let him cry like this. Let him chirp like this. Everybody knows this is okay. That's it. If the pick were Shapiro, these ghouls would have had the raise to the keyboard to type George Soros. No, it's great. Did Harris reject Shapiro just because progressives don't like that he was Jewish? You know? Oh, this is another phenomenal take. Dude, Republicans objectively not being normal.
All right, ready.
Waltz is dangerous. Reminder, he just changed the Minnesota state flag to replica Muslim Somali flag. Tim Waltz is effing dangerous as it gets.
Wait a minute.
He got so horny, he couldn't even write Somali. Muslim soulmate, he wrote.
There, that's better. All right.
It's great. America hating traitor. I mean, the new flag is ass, though. Yeah, but I don't give a shit. How do you not see that this is just like, this is what a psychotic person thinks, okay? He's a secret Somali. Like that's what the argument is. That's the best argument you got against this.
For 6 terms, and now he's in his second term as governor. And then if you read all the way, you know, this is quite a lengthy statement from her. She said, "What impressed me most about Tim is his deep commitment to his family."
It's actually the same. Both my dad and my sister have been paired and they didn't pick him because he's Jewish, lying to me. Meanwhile, I haven't seen anyone on the left discussing his religion whatsoever, except the people from the right trying to make it seem like it's about his religion. Yeah, but isn't your dad a hog anyway? Like, that's the other thing I don't understand. That stuff is like, that stuff is just for, you know, the base. I thought your dad was a hog. Is he not a hog? Yes, but my sister is ostensibly a liberal Zionist. It's crazy the amount of people on Twitter trying to flame Waltz for retiring the year his unit deployed. Like the dude didn't do 24 years, shaking my head. Dude, this, by the way, is, you remember what I talked about with respect to transphobia? About how like transphobic people genuinely exhibit patterns of like mental illness. And the more transphobic they become, the more they start suspecting like random cis women of being trans. And we saw that happening with the Iman Khalif situation. Okay. You remember that? This is the other version of that, where looking at a white dude and being like, he's actually secret Somali. Like, that's the other side of the mental illness. Okay. They're just being this way on every issue now. Okay. They're like, oh yeah, he's a secret Somali invested in Sharia law and wants to turn America into a Sharia nation. You only have this kind of attitude if you have just completely lost your dang mind.
Gwen, Gus, and Hope, referring to his children. And she said, Doug and I look forward to working with him to build an administration that reflects our shared values. So in addition to all the experience you see on your screen right now, it really came down to who Tim Walz is as a person. And that really mattered to Vice President Harris as she made this decision that came down to the wire. In fact, she didn't make it until this morning. And I just spoke with somebody who was very familiar with the entire process, who said that on the phone call to Tim Walz, the vice president said that we are underdogs and let's get to work. So she's not, you know, allowing all the momentum, the excitement that we have seen in recent weeks to cloud all the work that is ahead. And they really wanted to try to capitalize on this moment, get even more excitement, because the team is well aware that, you know, that enthusiasm could dwindle. And so they want to gen up as much support, as much excitement as possible while they can, with, of course, today's big announcement. And I should point out, Lindsay, that you mentioned, but in case our viewers didn't hear this yet, what's really interesting is It was so close that her team printed out multiple versions of campaign signs for tonight's rally in Philadelphia. You can imagine that Harris Shapiro was...
What do you think about his closest to Israel? He is not to Israel than any other regular Democrat, which means he is close to Israel. But so is every other Democrat, okay? Like, we talked about this with Bashir, too. Like, that's it. Every Democrat is close to Israel. I don't know if you're, like, new to this story or maybe you just recently started paying attention. There are the only Democrats that are not close to Israel. The only congresspersons that are not close to Israel are, like, a select few, okay?
Is among those, and it will be in Governor Shapiro's home state, where we see now Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz, really make their case for the first time in public to the American people.
Yeah, let's hope they pass out the right signs, right, Weijia, at the event. I want to ask you something about something you just mentioned, the underdog framing. I mean, that in and of itself is strategy, right? Because who doesn't like rooting for an underdog?
Right, and who doesn't want to...
Do you think Walz is progressive? My liberal Minneapolis mom described him as that, which I thought was odd. Yes, he is. No, Tim Walz is definitely. Thomas Massie, but you never give him kudos? Yeah, Thomas Massie's a one Republican. You're right. Honestly, I agree with you, but let's be honest. You weren't saying this when Biden was the nominee. If you think Joseph Robinette Biden's rabid Zionism is not above and beyond in comparison to the average congressperson, especially the average Democrat, I don't know what to tell you. Biden is unique in his rabid Zionism. Like the rest of the Democratic Party, from Nancy Pelosi to even Chuck Schumer, who also simultaneously invited Benjamin Netanyahu to come speak and deliver a speech in front of Congress, literally has moved on to the liberal Zionist position. Biden is running to the right of Netanyahu, okay? The f are we talking about? Maybe not to the right of Netanyahu, but like firmly planted on such a pro-Israel stance that he is basically a Likudnik. Like, what the f are we talking about? Yeah, Biden called dead Palestinian civilians Hamas numbers. Biden routinely lied and still continues to lie about like Palestinians going in and Hamas going in on October 7th and like lighting babies on fire. It's just objectively not true. That never happened. Okay. He still lies about that. He lied about seeing beheaded babies. He said that the Palestinian Health Ministry is run by Hamas and therefore he disputes the numbers. He gave a bear hug to Benjamin Netanyahu early October and never strayed away from that course in terms of like giving unconditional support to Israel. He is part of the reason. If progressives can't be happy about this, we're fucked. No, I think many people are happy about this. A lot more people are happy about this. He said that Palestinians have an ancient gene that makes them okay. During his Holocaust remembrance speech, Biden is above and beyond. He outflanks some Republicans, not just Thomas Massie. Like he outflanks a big chunk of Congress on how firmly committed he is to defending Israel unconditionally. So no, it is definitely different.
Give more money to an underdog that is actually doing quite well. And in our latest CBS News poll, Harris is actually up by 1 point nationally and tied in the critical battleground states. And that 1 point is really important because Biden never enjoyed that lead. In fact, when he left the race, he was 5 points behind. But 1 point is still, not significant enough for them to lean back and say, OK, we can relax now. And that is why it's going to be a slog ahead, including this week when Walz and Harris go to several battleground states to try to maintain that kind of support, because it's not just about, getting people out in November. Between now and then, it's about making sure their operation continues and they have the infrastructure through money.
Weijia Jiang, thank you.
A working class politician.
Anyway, Tim Walz here. This is what he said about the uncommitted vote in his own state, by the way. This is something to remember. It is pretty significant.
Votes right now, 20% of the vote going to uncommitted, and we've seen that already in this primary in Michigan. What message are voters in your state trying to send to President Biden, and what do you want to see President Biden do in response?
Yeah, look, they're engaged. We're really proud in Minnesota. Civic responsibility. We have some of the highest voter turnouts. These are voters that are deeply concerned, as we all are. The situation in Gaza is intolerable. And I think trying to find a solution, a lasting two-state solution, certainly the president's move towards humanitarian aid and asking us to get to a ceasefire, that's what they're asking to be heard. And that's what they should be doing. We've gone through this before, and we know that now we make sure we've got 8 months. We start bringing these folks back in.
That's why I said he's interesting, because, like, again, big Somali population in the state. He has routinely gone out to bat to defend them, defended Ilhan Omar, and also on top of that has, like, delivered a speech to CAIR, which is unheard of, okay? Like, outside of, like, specific Michigan congresspersons and, like, Rashida Tlaib and like that, you don't ever get that kind of, you don't even get that kind of lip service from the Democratic Party. Okay, that's why they're gonna. That's probably why they're gonna run with the. That's why they're running with the "he's a secret Muslim" narrative. For those of you who don't know, CAIR is the Council on American Islamic Relations. Okay, dude had a dynamite interview on Ezra Klein. Yeah, I know. I was very Walt-pilled after that interview. He was great. He was great on that. He does a really good job. He does a really good job of not just like saying that Republicans are, but also then basically saying, like, look, I push for progressive policies because I want to help people. I want to help people that, you know, got me elected. And I want to make sure, like, Republicans, whether they admit it or not, doesn't matter. They also benefit from paid family leave. Republicans also benefit from feeding children at schools, right? Like school lunch programs, like free breakfast and lunch programs. That's popular. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or not, okay? Republicans don't want that to happen, so they just hyper-focus on stuff, okay? And he's right. He's right. He's 100% correct on this. Yeah, this is a great take, exactly. Thank you for doing the obvious correct thing instead of letting a bunch of consultants trick you into map math. But Pennsylvania is a critical state, yeah, but what if you just try to win all the other ones by choosing the best possible campaigner? Yes, it's 100% true. Also, I just found out that Jim Acosta follows me, which is like, this is the moment that I found out that Jim Acosta follows me. What do I DM him? A topless pig? Should I send him a pic of me shirtless? Mario Goetze? Okay.
We listen to what they're saying. That's a healthy thing that's happening here. But I would note that that the former president lost twice as many votes here in Minnesota to Nikki Haley. And I've seen some of these exit polls out of North Carolina and others. 80% of folks said they're not voting for him who voted for Nikki Haley. We'll get these folks back. I think it's take them seriously. Their message is clear that they think this is an intolerable situation and that we can do more. And I think the president's hearing that.
About 40,000.
Yeah, but Hillary won the popular vote, but still lost because of the Electoral College. I think this was the best choice, but concerns. Bro, I don't think you understand, okay? I don't think you understand something very important, which is that Democrats can win Pennsylvania without Josh Shapiro, okay? He is objectively a solid, if not one of the best choices for vice president. Like, what is this? 5 minutes and 26 seconds of Tim Walz being awesome.
Buddy, Tim here, 11 days till the election, but
oh, I love this video.
Of the day out on the road. I got to show you this. This right here is the headlight harness on a 2014 Ford Edge. Ford, this is unacceptable. It burned out hot on the connector. So for $7.99 at Napa Auto Parts here in the city, you can replace this. Just clip off the back.
Not only can we, he was actually a very weak option that anyone who looks into realized he was brand new and had tons of skeletons in the PA political scene. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Josh Shapiro was weak. He was a weak candidate, okay?
Back, use some shrink wrap connectors on there, tape it back together and put it back in. It's about a 5-minute fix and you're back on the road safe and sound. So pro tip of the day, second one is get out and vote for One Minnesota. Get out and let's take this state in a direction we know it needs to go. Go vote.
This is the beautiful moment that everyone will be playing in campaign ads if the Democratic Party is even remotely smart about their strategy. Okay? This is when he signed into law free breakfast and lunch programs for all school children in his state. Okay? This was an emotional moment. This is a phenomenal thing that he did. He's literally a school teacher. Like, what are we talking about, dude?
Ow! My eye! And my legs hurt too.
Good job, Webster. Hey, Minnesota, Governor Walz here.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come the on, man. That's crazy. That's beautiful. That's wholesome.
Here out at the state fair with my daughter.
Hope.
Every year we as a family
She's named Hope because she's an IVF baby, by the way.
do something.
Another solid part of the story is like the IVF part, which is what some Republicans want to ban. Oh my God.
Something new. I get to Millride to do that. And then Hope gets to pick something new,
I think we're going to go do the slingshot.
which I don't know what it is, and they're keeping it from me. But then we're going to go get some food, corn dog,
I'm vegetarian.
turkey then. And then
Turkey's meat.
not in Minnesota, turkey special. And we will go do some of those things and report back.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Dude, it's like, oh God, I'm losing my mind. Dude, I'm losing my mind. It's like a gift. Like, you will not see JD Vance in a situation like this. You will never see Trump in a situation like this. You won't even see Kamala in a situation like this for the most part. Okay? This is what I've been saying when I say the Democratic lineup for talent is deep. The fact that they were stuck with Joe Biden was unimaginable to me, because there are governors like him out there. Beyond him, there's Andy Bashar is pretty solid too. Like, come on, dude. Come on. They're talking about Pete Buttigieg. They were talking about Pete Buttigieg, bro. There were people talking about Pete Buttigieg as a good candidate for the VP. Y'all don't even know about the Gretsch momentum yet, okay? You don't even... J.B. Pritzker, another big boy, another solid pick. Oh, my God.
Yes! Oh my God. Keep going.
Yes!
That was good. Good job, Dad.
Oh, thanks, Hope. All right, Minnesota, it's worth it. Woo. Wow, that is wild.
No, that was pretty cool, actually.
That is wild.
No, that would be good.
It was okay. It was so worth it.
Yeah, JD Vance's interaction with his children, where he told his son to hell up about Pokemon for 30 seconds when he was on the phone with Donald Trump. That is not even Oppo. That's information that he voluntarily revealed to the world. Put his whole out there. He said it with his entire chest. He was like, that's the kind of fast dad I am. Give me a goddamn break, dude.
Oh.
It was good.
Thanks for talking me into it.
You're welcome.
Why is it so hard to understand? When somebody else gets them right, it's not like a damn pie. Oh, somebody got a bigger piece of pie. I don't get it. Rights aren't that way. There's enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody to be included. Same thing with jobs. Same thing with housing. Same thing with healthcare.
Dude, imagine a Whitmer Walz ticket. Yeah, Whitmer Walz ticket would be Reagan numbers for the Dems.
So, you saw it. We are not going to allow them to make the case. Yes, they're a threat, but we're not going to stay in their frame. We're not going to stay where they're at. We're not going to play their game. We called them out for the nonsense that they believe, and we presented a different argument to the American public.
Dude, the thing was, I heard that story from you and thought it was hilarious the way you said it. Then I heard the actual clip and it was so cringe. Yes, JD Vance reads like an alien, okay? He's not even as good as Pete Buttigieg is in terms of being like a TED Talk style liberal, in terms of like communicating. He has all of the worst aesthetics of like the elitist, bi-coastal, out-of-touch libs.
One where everybody matters. One where we can achieve. One where we solve problems.
The crazy thing about it is my son, who's 7, is in the hotel room with me, and he's really into Pokemon cards right now. He's going through.
That's why I said he had his whole out too. Look at this. Look at this harlot, dude. Pussy out for the whole world to see. You goddamn harlot. Fuck you doing here? Look at it. Look at his directly with your eyes, okay?
Pokemon phase. Are you guys into Pokemon?
I was back in the day.
Okay,
yeah, that's a big phase right now, I think, in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's really into it. So he's trying to talk to me about Pikachu. And I'm on the phone with
saw
Donald
AOC
Trump,
tweet.
and I'm like, son, hell up for
son
about Pikachu. And I'm on the phone with Donald Trump, and I'm like, son, hell up for 30 seconds about Pikachu. The crazy.
AOC said, "Why are you sitting like that?" Oh, that's awesome. The campaign ads write themselves, dude. The campaign ads write themselves. Holy moly, dude.
We know here in Minnesota that message works. We are the majority. That's why they shrink the vote. That's why they make it harder to vote. That's why they try and bring fear. And that's why they try and get you to the point where you're pessimistic. And what difference does it make? On the theme of talking about what's real out there a little bit, we can't talk about public safety without talking about guns. So let's have that conversation. I'll go ahead and put my credibility up against anyone on this issue. I'm a veteran and I'm a hunter. And for many...
Finally, we're not debating them on the issues and just saying they're feeding children. It's literally so easy. No, that is actually the issues, though. That's the beauty of it all. You're saying they're for not focusing on issues because on the issues, they're awful. And you recenter the conversation back to what you want to offer people. That's it. You have to earn people's votes. You have to earn people's votes. This is why governors are actually pretty solid in terms of like running for the presidency, because like governors are objectively popular. Governors oftentimes will be so popular that they outcompete the ticket in their states. Why are they so popular? Because they have an immediate impact on the lives of the people that are voting for them. That's why you have red governors in blue states and blue governors in red states. Okay? A governor is basically like being the president of your state. And then you have pieces of like gruesome governor Gavin Newsom, but I don't want to talk about that. A hunter as a vegan, I'm out. Okay. Does it make it better that Walz was a teacher and not a lifetime politician? Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Years, I was one of the best shots in Congress, and I got the dang trophies to prove it. I know guns as well as anyone, but I'm sick and tired of talking about that because I'm not just a veteran, not just a hunter, not just a gun owner. I'm a father, and for many years I was a teacher. And we all know damn well weapons of war have no place in our schools, in our churches, in our banks, or anyone wants to live in peace.
Of all her potential running mates, you might have the most progressive record as governor. I know you were more of a moderate when you were in the House, but you've legalized recreational marijuana, you passed universal background checks on guns, you expanded LGBTQ protections, you implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look, they're going to label whatever they're going to label.
The funniest thing is climate change will make Minnesota one of the most livable places in the United States of America. So like there's also that aspect of it as well. Straight up. Wasn't it? It was literally Minnesota, right? Like it was like Minnesota, Michigan, like all of those states will literally become the most valuable states in the nation as a consequence of climate change. Yeah, Maine, Vermont. My mom was a public school teacher and an elector and campaigned for him when he ran for state office. She talks about how even though he had a busy ass schedule, he came to speak in her government classes. Yeah. Minnesotans are going to become insufferable. I mean, they deserve it. They deserve this momentum.
Well, he's going to roll it out, mispronounce names, to try and make the case. The fact of the matter is, where you see the policies that Vice President Harris was a part of making, Democratic governors across the country executed those policies, and quality of life is higher, the economies are better, all of those things. Educational attainment is better. So, yeah, my kids are going to eat here, and you're going to have a chance to go to college, and you're going to have an opportunity to live where we're working on reducing carbon emissions. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have personal incomes that are higher, and you're going to have health insurance. So if that's where they want to label me, I'm more than happy to take the label.
Have you?
So that's just a taste of what we were going to.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm on board. Like This is great.
How are you going to build a water treatment plant in a town of 400 if you don't have a collective effort at it? So I have to tell you, they scream socialism. We just build roads and we build schools and we build prosperity into this. Their whole plan is to go backwards, to give tax cuts to the wealthy. And look, it was so surprising. You know, these super successful Donald Trump, who inherited $400 million and then proceeded to fail at everything. Middle America, you earn it, but you know what? You're not on your own. Neighbors help neighbors. And I will, this one bothers me. I heard you talking about punching back at the bullies. They see people less fortunate as scapegoats and you know, punchlines for their jokes. We see them as neighbors. And I said it with my mom, my dad, when my little brother's young, we're teenagers, we get Social Security survivor benefits. I'm all for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. We didn't have any boots. Social Security was the boots, and we pulled ourselves up, and we paid that back. And I think J.D. Vance gets none of that. You know, it's the aw shucks, I'm from here or whatever. So my hillbilly cousins did not go to Yale, but I'll tell you what they did. They contributed to our community, and they're proud of it.
Look out for your neighbors.
Bro, he lasers JD so much. He literally, oh my God. Like, even when he was talking to Ezra Klein, who is, again, a liberal and a bit of an elitist and one of those, like, bi-coastal Andes, like, Ezra kept trying to talk about, like, how JD Vance is actually really interesting that he became, like, the hillbilly that has this anger and resentment. And all of that is fake. And you could see in that conversation where he's talking to Ezra Klein, where he's like, no, dog, that's just, like, those are my neighbors. Like, that's not, like, he even managed that conversation pretty well as well, I think. Will the standard voter care? I think so. It's entirely dependent on the hundreds of millions of dollars that they are fundraising currently and how they put that to work. If the way you feel about this guy right now, from just my like regular coverage, from his media slots, like from his regular old, you know, appointments that he's doing in the media before he was picked as the VP. Like, think about the way you feel and then try to think about like what a normal person, how a normal person would feel when they hear this. Do you think that like a normal person reads this as inauthentic? Or do you think a normal person would read this as like a pretty authentic, run-of-the-mill, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy who is genuinely being like, I don't know about this socialism. I care about building roads, man. What the fuck are we talking about? I care about being neighborly. That's it. It's great.
You're on a debate stage with, say, J.D. Vance.
Okay, I feel like I'm strike breaking here by showing this take.
And he accuses you of being a big government liberal who's attacking our families, making life worse for our families, doesn't share our values, doesn't care about families like yours. What do you say to him?
Yeah, first of all, it was up to him. I wouldn't have a family because of IVF and the things that we need to do reproductive. My kids were born through that that way. And also I make sure that I'm the guys and our folks are investing in prenatal care. We're the ones that are there for universal pre-K. We're the ones that are providing school meals at this. I'm not going to back down one bit on this whole family values thing and it's us. That construct that he's putting out there is absolutely untrue. We're making it more affordable to have children by having paid family and medical leave so that you can go home when your kids are sick and take care of them. Or if you're a dad, I don't have to go right back to work 5 days later after my wife had a C-section because our insurance wouldn't pay for it. We're boosting those things up. There's nothing pro-family other than having women be incubators for their vision of this. Once again, it's weird. I don't want J.D. Vance talking about my family. I certainly don't want him talking about my daughter or my wife. It's none of his damn business. But I said the one thing is we need to talk about how we've invested in families. We have the most generous child tax credit, and it's what Vice President Harris is proposing for the country. People are poor because they don't have money. And when kids don't have the money on the front end, all of the things that a chain reaction of can't learn, can't go on. So I'll challenge him on that. Where is J.D. Vance's pro-family? He's forcing people to have...
He's so good. What the fuck? I didn't know Minnesota went this hard. Bro, watch my old video that I did in 2023, specifically about the memes at the time were Democrats with a super majority in a blue state become Clintonites and like annoying establishment Democrats. Democrats in the Midwest with like the slimmest one seat majority are like Leninist vanguardists in the way that they legislate. They went here. This is the tweet. New York Dems with a super majority versus Midwest Dems with a 1 vote margin. Watch Hawks try to dunk on people who are poor because they don't have money as like he says the most obvious stuff kind of deal, but they're literally the ones that are like people are poor because they deserve it. Yeah. Is it controversial to say he seems like a better ticket leader than Harris? It obviously won't change, but he seems much better. Yeah, no, that's not controversial. What? Harris was chosen as the VP specifically because she was inoffensive. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Minnesota. I was told not to tweet this until the House is adjourned for fear of jinxing it, but the Minnesota legislature just completed what is not controversial, but Harris is a transition candidate to Walz in 2032, in my opinion. No, he'll be too old by then, probably. But him being in this election wouldn't work as well because he has looked ancient for a decade. Yeah. He'll be 68. That's not too old. Yeah, but I'm in the pocket for Big Gretch. Also, he reads old. Remember, he's 60. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are the same age. Look at one, look at the other. And I'm also a Big Gretch. I'm a Big Gretch defender. Damn. The Democratic Party's future in a matter of 30 fucking days actively changed from dire prospects. Don't make me destroy her like I did Bashir. You didn't destroy Bashir. Okay? Like you did not destroy Andy Bashir. The very same angles of attack against Bashir exist for Walz as well. He is like also in the same AIPAC constituency. It doesn't matter ultimately. That's not a part of the calculation in this situation. He's a better communicator than Bashir is. Is good since Kamala isn't black, so she chose a Somalian VP. Yeah, exactly. Knock on wood, but the Dems are looking competent right now. I think one of the best aspects of this is that they have to basically defend Kamala Harris. Making this choice means that she has to lean on the more progressive parts of her campaigning. Like whether she wants to or not, she basically said, this is our ticket. This is what we're running with. What? You should read up. About to learn everything. The Art of Power. My story as America's first woman speaker of the House. So long, suckers. Yeah. If Walz is the VP pick, they need to get an ad out ASAP with a bunch of former students saying stuff like this. Whatever happens today or tomorrow with the Veep stakes, I'm so dang proud of Tim Walz. I was a C-ish student in high school. Shocking, I know. Mr. Walz took the time to make sure that I was successful, not only in his class, but others. He made learning exciting. Honestly, I think you're framing it incorrectly. What? Boring? New poll dropped. NPR, head-to-head, 51-48. Multi-candidate field, 48-45, 5%. Stein getting 1% pickup. Look at that. Jill Steiner's on top. Also, Biden's job approval rating is the highest it's been in well over a year. 46% approve, 51% disapprove. Marist poll, Trump's +6 edge on immigration is much smaller than usual. This has been the GOP's strongest issue. Trump +3 on the economy is also lower than usual. Trump dominates among strong leader voters, but Harris crushes him among voters who want honest and trustworthy. Public school teach won't do well with private school preppy weirdos. Yeah, good thing that there are an infinitely larger number of people who are public school educated than the small number of private school educated people. And you're wrong on that too. Plenty of private school people still have like a conscience and a heart.
The reason I ran around that corner because we want to get.
This is the first rally. We're going to be watching this later.
Minutes, but I want you to know something. I know we didn't practice this, but I have 2 questions for every Pennsylvanian in this audience.
Oh, 2 largely undefined Dems, yet Gen Z has 2.5x higher negative views towards the one with a Jewish last name. Mark Kelly, favorability, unfavorability among 18 to 29-year-olds, 27 to 10. Josh Shapiro, favorability, unfavorability among 18 to 29-year-olds, 19 to 25. When Dems fret about elevated anti-Semitism among the youngest voters, this is a data point they're worried about. Yeah, no, that's what it is. Thank you, Fox News Radio political analyst. Yeah, they're like, oh, Shapiro, that's because he's Jewish. Walz can also be like a representative of the bathrooms. That's why their cons are as essential. Oh my God, this would have been a disaster. This narrative now only being a narrative from the Republican Party is another gift to the Democrats. Okay, it's another gift to the goddamn Democrats. Can you imagine Democrats fucking running with that narrative against their own base, the progressive base, their own left flank constantly? Holy shit, dude. Holy moly. Ay, ay, ay. It would have been so fucking, it would have been unimaginably annoying if Josh Shapiro was the pick and they were constantly being like, the left don't want to vote for him because because he's Jewish and they're anti-Semitic. I'm having nightmares about that fucking scenario. Now we can focus on the top of the hour ad break instead, which of course comes at the top of the hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you could do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime.
Of all kinds. I know Donald Trump's type.
The 2024 election is in full swing. For every key campaign moment, the Washington Post is there, bringing you live coverage with insight and
like I regularly talked about Josh Shapiro not on the issue of Israel, but specifically on his right-wing attitude towards school vouchers for this reason. Okay, like Josh Shapiro is not exactly tested and true as a governor. It's not like he's been around for that long as a governor, right? Him calling his own students in his own state that were protesting against genocide, Klans members, was completely unacceptable. Okay, but beyond that, he's just like a regular ass fucking Dem on the issue of Israel. Okay. Sure, in his background, he's called Palestinians like subhuman and shit when he was in his 20s and volunteered for the IDF when he was in high school. But that stuff is like his current attitude towards Israel is basically the fucking same as the rest of the Democrats. Okay? That's not the major point of contention. The major point of contention with Josh Shapiro was, from my estimation, his right-wing attitude towards school voucher programs, and beyond that, his own skeletons in his closet as a person who's like a major careerist within Pennsylvania politics. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break, by the way, before I forget. Let's hear what Fox is doing. They're coping right now.
Their liberal utopia is every American's worst nightmare.
This is a ticket that really represents the spirit of those 2020 BLM riots. They're riots that Tim Walz, as governor, sat back and let happen.
She has picked a dyed-in-the-wool radical progressive to join on that ticket. Shows exactly what her priorities are.
And they will have plenty to...
Great. Talk about that. Talk about the policies. That's great. Oh, he's a radical progressive. Why? Because he wants to feed children. Because he's feeding school children. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. Please keep it going. Keep it coming. Stick to the issues. That is losing. You will lose.
This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks trying to make sure we don't see our cities burn. This is that catch-22. The more police are there, the more tension it is. The more tension it is, the more chance you have to get things. Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. You know, he talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
I'm nutting.
Very interesting, right? So as we await this first campaign rally, Jesse, will some of those words come back to haunt this ticket?
Kamala Harris choked. She chose Bernie Sanders. This is Bernie Sanders right here. The squad loves this guy. Loves him. You see pictures, they're like almost undressing together. What? And she managed to pick someone who looks older than Biden. I would have gone with the younger guy, but who knows if this was even her choice. Eric Holder was running the vetting op. He chose him, probably. You know, he's Obama's wingman. He probably was like, Kamala, you're picking Walz. Let's just lose this and get on to 28. Because this is like a sacrificial lamb pick. This is the pick you put up there to get crushed, and then so you keep your better candidates ready for the next cycle. It's also a trick pick, because this guy's not Minnesota nice. He's Minnesota nuts. Yeah. They keep saying this guy's, there's Midwestern white value. Come on, this guy's a lunatic. Sanctuary cities, driver's license for illegals, sanctuary cities for sex changes for children. And if you don't want the sex change for your kid, then the state will come take your kid away from you. This guy put tampons in boys' bathrooms. 4th grade boys' bathrooms, tampons. He wants CRT taught. He was all about toppling the Columbus statue. This guy changed the flag of this state to look more like Somalia. What is wrong with this guy? In COVID, he had a snitch line so your neighbors could rat you out if you broke his lockdown rules. This man is out of his mind. He actually went and joined the army, and then right before they deployed to Iraq, quit. And all his unit is like, whoa, bro, where'd you go? They can't stand this guy. I've never seen this guy ever try to get out of a DUI. He said he was deaf from being in the army. And then he blew a .12. I didn't know that. And Jessica, I have to ask, why did he honeymoon in China?
What?
He's been to China 30 times. That's strange.
Ooh. Oh,
I find that
was he there with Hunter Biden?
Suspicious.
Okay.
Someone should look into it.
Okay. Do you care to answer that question?
Well, we obviously got different research today.
Okay.
Jesse's side and my side.
You just
on all
didn't
this.
get yours.
Oh, no, I got mine.
Okay, so,
I got plenty
so here's
of mine.
the question, Jessica. To Jesse's point, apparently the Trump campaign is rather pleased with this pick. They think it'll be easier to beat them.
Yeah, they're definitely projecting that. I saw J.D. Vance this morning in front of a huge Kamala sign where you couldn't even read the chaos. So everything is going really well for that side of the aisle. And they were going to act like this no matter who the pick was. And they weren't going to come out and say, oh, we're really scared of Josh Shapiro. But there was a clear line. If you need Pennsylvania to win, Josh Shapiro made a lot of sense for that. He has a 61% favorability. He's a great speaker. He's definitely a lot more moderate. But Politico is reporting that the teams just didn't mesh as well, that Kamala and Josh Shapiro did not have nearly as a good sit down as she did with Governor Walz. And that
talk about this. And then you turn around and you're like, look, another Democrat went to AIPAC and another Democrat met with Benjamin Netanyahu. It's like, yeah, no shit, dog. How is this shocking to you? How is this shocking to you? You're bringing up shit we know already. I know this already. I know. This is not like even remotely surprising to me. I don't know why it's surprising to you. What the fuck? Like, you should know this. If you are someone who is already like very invested in Palestinian emancipation, you should be aware of this already. What the fuck?
Reporting on how we got to this point. MJ, what are you hearing now?
Yeah, John, I do think
So why the fuck are you supporting him? Brother, there is virtually no other fucking candidate. Like, there's like 3 that haven't touched AIPAC, okay? What are you on right now? I'm saying that is the bipartisan position, okay? What do you mean? You have to personally look at the rest of Congress. This is why I have also, time and time again, defended AOC on the issue of Israel too. People will be like, AOC is a fucking controlled opposition, blah, 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 blah. It's like, bro, you guys are so nutty because you have no understanding of how American Congress fucking works in terms of like being pro-Israel. It's a non-starter, okay? Like, it is a fucking non-starter. What are we talking about?
we should just take an extra beat to take stock.
It's always the same. Every election season is the same. I know. I love it because it's always like younger people that are just like first invested in politics. And you can tell like there's 2 different types of like young voters who are just getting into politics. Like, one, the disillusioned voter that like is completely outside of the electoral politics scheme in general, recognizes a bourgeois democracy. It's fucking bullshit. It's a bullshit duopoly, but still chirps that there isn't like a Maoist candidate out there. Okay. And then the other type of voter who's like is like diehard invested in the Democratic Party and still thinks that the Democratic Party has their best interest in mind. Now, obviously, this is a unique moment in American politics. It's very different than the way I talk about how the Democratic Party operates in general. If you've been watching me for a long enough time, you probably know what I'm going to say for the most part on the Democratic Party's future prospects and how they operate normally. This is unique. This is a unique instance. But even before this instance, even before the last month of the Democratic Party demonstrating that they can be competent, there was still hella fucking chatters in here being like, oh, but like you got to still vote, right? Like you got to do lesser evil voting, blah, 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 blah. Like all this shit. And that is because they're not disillusioned and haven't been fucked over time and time again after going out and door knocking, after going out and like being invested in a candidate or whatever. So it's like their maybe second election. So they don't know yet. They don't know how bad it is. They don't know how bad it gets. You're already being called a liberal. This is just an impossible conversation to have with anyone who's remotely online. I don't care. I am. Yeah, sure. Whatever. This is no different than when people go, oh, dude, you're a capitalist. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, I love capitalism. I love the Democratic Party. I'm a liberal. I'm a reactionary conservative. I'm everything at all times, okay? And yet, for some weird reason, my position has not changed for the past 10 fucking years. And every single thing that I've said should happen is literally happening. So who gives a fuck? Stop trying to fucking fit me into the to like this neat little confine that you've created, neat little box that you've created in your mind. Just listen to what the fuck I'm saying, okay? I don't give a shit. I don't care. Yeah, okay. Label me whatever the fuck you want. Oh yeah, I'm 100% disillusioned because I actually have door knocked thousands of doors, but I understand that it's just me. To be fair, I don't think you're doing liberalism. I think the actual liberals in chat might be mishearing your take, though. Anyway, let's continue.
Of really the really remarkable and extraordinary series of events that led us to this moment. It was 16 days ago that President Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 race. And as you've been talking about, Vice President Harris was able to lock up this nomination so quickly, but so much so that there was not even at any point even a blip of a real conversation within the Democratic Party about whether they should consider anybody else other than Kamala Harris. And now we have not only Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket, but within a matter of days, she has deliberated on and chosen the running mate of her choice. And it is now going to be the Harris-Walz ticket running against the Trump-Vance ticket. So we have seen such a remarkable and unprecedented transformation of the Democratic ticket in just, again, a matter of days. And I do think we should note that this moment really marks, in some ways, Kamala Harris defying President Biden. As we have talked about so much for years and years, President Biden and the advisors that are closest to him have made the argument repeatedly that the person at the top of the ticket had to be Joe Biden, that only he was capable of defeating Donald Trump, that with anybody else, the country really risked a second-term Trump presidency. And in that, they were at least implicitly suggesting that the Democratic bench of talent was inadequate. But now here we have Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket, now Tim Walz right there below her, and the two of them certainly do now represent sort of the future of the Democratic Party in a way that we would not have seen had Joe Biden remained at the top of the ticket. Now, one thing I will say, as we are now talking about this ticket facing up against President Trump and J.D. Vance on the other side of the aisle, I do think there's something to be said for the way that Walz has conducted himself.
How much of this was Kamala making the decision? How much was the DNC? I think Nancy Pelosi actively was petitioning for Walz, so I will give her the credit for that as well. I'll give Nancy the credit for replacing Biden. And I give Nancy the credit for fucking pushing for Walz. That's my goat, okay? I despise her worldview, but that's my goat when it comes to fucking making picks, making stock picks, and that's my goddamn goat when it comes to changing the history and the trajectory of the Democratic Party in such a dramatic fashion that this race went from a Donald Trump lock, okay, to what you are seeing unfold in front of your eyes. POV, you begged like a dog and didn't get it. They're calling you out. Wait, what? Dude, there is no point in this process where I said I don't want Walz. I said I like Walz a lot. I've glazed Walz for at least a year plus at this point. Anyway, let's continue.
In the last several weeks or so, as he has made the case effectively, a lot of Democrats would say, against Trump and Vance. You know, he is the guy that
Music change.
Philadelphia.
Phones are up.
Please welcome the next
We're locked and
President
loaded.
Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
It's crazy because they like arrive on time too, which is like a subtle thing that Joe Biden never did either. God damn, dude, it's electric out here. What are they pointing to? The fucking crowd, dude. Waltz is another elderly gentleman? No, he's the same age as Kamala Harris. He just looks old. By American standards, he's youthful, brother. He's 60. America isn't ready for a cornball dad with cats. A Midwestern corn. Want to remind everybody how wrong liberals were.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania. So let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff, thank you for the warm welcome. And let me just say, it's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell, Senator Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November, Senator John Fetterman, Mayor Sherelle Parker, and Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor, Josh Shapiro. And I will say, Josh is a dear, dear friend and an extraordinary leader. He and I have been spending a lot of time together over the years. And I told Josh, look, I am so invested in our friendship in doing this together, because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania.
What did you do for Fetterman? What did I miss? Are you serious?
And I thank you, Josh. I thank you. So of Philadelphia, I launched my campaign for the President of the United States a mere 2 weeks ago. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind. And just last night, the delegates to the Democratic National Convention finished voting. And so I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. And so now we got some work to do. We need to move to the general election and win that. And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race. But we have the momentum, and I know exactly what we are up against. Now, many of you know, before I was elected vice president or elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who scammed consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. So, but let me say, hold on. This campaign, our campaign, is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future. It's a fight for the future.
Lock him up.
In Pennsylvania, we fight for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave. We fight for a future where we build a broad-based economy, where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth. We fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high and lower the cost of living for America's families. So that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. We fight for a future where we defend our most fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do.
Bars.
So, I love you too. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future. A leader who will help unite our nation and move us forward. A fighter for the middle class. A patriot who believes, as I do, in the extraordinary promise of America. A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not just for some, but for all.
Big balls walls, baby.
So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader. Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
I don't think this dude had any ambition like this, by the way. That's another thing that is, like, in my opinion, overlooked. He was just good. He was good and he did the right things, and that's why he's here.
To those who know him best, Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is a dad. To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz. To the people of southern Minnesota, for 12 years, he was congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz.
This speech is a bit lame, I'm not gonna lie, but it's all good.
And to his former high school football players, he was coach. And in 91 days,
not that it matters.
The nation will know Coach Walz by another name, Vice President of the United States. So America, for some folks, they're just getting to know Coach Walz's story. And I'll tell you, he is the proud product of a middle-class family in rural Nebraska. He is a veteran who served our nation in uniform for more than 2 decades
24
as a
years
member
of
of the Army National Guard, and he went to college on the GI Bill. He is someone who, long before he entered politics, worked as a teacher. When Coach Walz and his wife Gwen moved from his native Nebraska to Minnesota nearly 30 years ago, they both took jobs at the local high school. Coach Walz taught social studies, Gwen taught English. After school, Tim was the linebacker.
Normal ass people, bro. Normal ass people. Undefeated.
Where I've heard the stories about he had a knack for using the game of football to teach life lessons. He saw the potential in kids who sometimes didn't even see it in themselves. Under those Friday night lights, Coach Walz motivated his players to believe they could achieve anything. And together, they defied the odds, hear this out, going from a winless record to the school's first ever state championship.
Oh my God, it's so Jover. It's so good.
And I'll say and I'll add, Tim wasn't only a role model on the football field. Around that same time, Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance. At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved.
Oh my God, I'm nutting. Oh, that's so good. That accident.
Right? So he signed up to be the group's faculty advisor. And as students have said, he made the school a safe place for everybody.
What a gift. What a gift.
In the high school yearbook, the students voted Coach Walz the, quote, most inspiring faculty member. And as I think everyone here can see, Tim Walz was the kind of teacher and mentor that every child in America dreams of having.
If he cries, I will cry. If he cries real tears, I might actually cry too. He cried, we crowed.
Because he's the kind of person who makes people feel like they belong and then inspires them to dream big. And that's the kind of vice president he will be. And that's the kind of vice president America deserves. So it was Coach Walz's students who actually helped him decide to run for office. And he served 12 years in Congress.
He delivered a state championship? Are you fucking joking? Like, did they build him in a lab, dude? How did this guy...
He was the highest ranking. He was the highest ranking enlisted man to ever serve in the United States Congress.
Yeah, I take back everything I said about her speech. She's killing it right now. Immaculate.
And the top Democrat on the Veterans Committee. And he was known as one of Capitol Hill's best marksmen, winning a bipartisan sharpshooting contest year after year.
I think our brains are so warped by how unimaginably abnormal politicians are on both sides of the party that, like, when you have a normal dude like this, all of a sudden it just comes across as, like, insane.
To protect the freedom of workers to join a union. And he cast one of the critical votes to pass the Affordable Care Act. Which, of course, gave health insurance to tens of millions of Americans. I'm going to tell you, when we win, Tim and I will continue to make the Affordable Care Act even stronger.
What does that mean? I mean, come on.
We will win. Wow. That's right. Now, let's talk about what we're dealing with on the other side. So on that last topic, if Donald Trump gets the chance, he will end the Affordable Care Act and take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was like?
No.
Children with asthma, breast
They're
cancer
too young.
survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Well, Governor Walz and I will not let that happen.
Go harder. Expand.
Because we
Say
believe
you're gonna
health care
lower
should
the-
be a
lower the
right and not
Medicare
just a
eligibility
privilege
age.
for those who can afford it.
Talk about more price caps on
As
pharmaceuticals.
governor, Tim has continued to fight for working families. He secured paid leave for workers in Minnesota. And he refused as governor to allow any student in their public schools to go
hungry.
So he made school breakfast and lunch free for every child. And Tim Walz and I, we agree about many things, including when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And strengthening the middle class will be my defining goal as I am President of the United States. So Pennsylvania, ours is a fight for the future of the middle class, and it is a fight for freedom.
Plato, thank you for the 50 big ones. God damn.
In this moment, we are witnessing a full-on attack against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. Take reproductive freedom. Now think about this. Donald Trump said
Why do you
he
think
wants
she never
to
mentions the
punish
lower class?
women.
Because every American thinks they're middle class, regardless of what their class is.
And as a result of his actions, today in America, 1 out of
That's it.
3 women live in a state with a Trump abortion ban. 1 out of 3. Some of these bans go back to the 1800s, even before women had a right to vote. Think about that. Well, Tim and I have a message for Trump and others who want to turn back the clock on our fundamental freedoms. We're not going back. We're not going back. And so let me say about Tim Walz, he has shown up to stand against these attacks long before he stood on the stage with me. After Roe was overturned, he was the first governor in the country to sign a new law that enshrined reproductive freedom as a fundamental right. And with Tim Walz by my side when I am President of the United States and we win majorities in the United States Congress, we will pass a bill to restore reproductive freedom, and I will proudly sign it into law.
That's new, but I like it. The win majorities in the Congress. That's actually interesting that she said that.
Tim Walz has also defended the sacred freedom to vote. As governor, he signed the most significant expansion of voting rights in Minnesota in over 50 years. And with Governor Walz's help, when I am president, we are going to finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We're going to get it done. So Tim is a hunter and a gun owner who believes, as the majority of gun owners do, that we need reasonable gun safety laws in America.
That's another lock because they kept saying, like, Kamala wants to take your guns away.
He expanded background checks and increased penalties for illegal firearm sales. And together, when we win in November, we are finally going to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. Through his work, Tim, the way I think about it, he really does shine a light on to Trump's running mate. Well, some might say it's like a matchup between the varsity team and the JV squad. So, Pennsylvania, ultimately in this election, we each face a question.
Leave it up to Walz. Don't do sports references, please.
Do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? And here's the beauty of our democracy. We each have the power to answer that question. We each have the power to answer that question. The power is with the people. We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. That is how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, the promise of America is what makes it possible for two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother, the other a son of the Nebraska Plains who grew up working on a farm. It's the promise of America, because only in America is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House.
That beautiful dynamic, beautiful juxtaposition. You got lockdown urban vote urban vote, upper middle class professional, and you got like a straight farmhand coming from the Democratic Farmer and Labor Party of Minnesota. Like it's a great perfect representation of all the constituencies that you would want to fucking win over.
That's right. And so Coach Walz and I may hail from different corners of our great country, but our values are the same. And we both believe in lifting people up, not knocking them down. He and I, we both know the vast majority of people in our country have so much more in common than what separates them. When we look at folks, we see in our fellow Americans neighbors, not enemies.
She didn't mention her dad because her dad was not in her life when she was growing up.
And so my promise to you is this. Our campaign will reach out to everyone, from red states to blue states, from the heartland to the coast.
He also disowned her.
In rural, urban, suburban, and tribal communities. We are running a campaign on behalf of all Americans. And when elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans. And so, with Tim Walz by my side, and with all of you at our side, let us fight for the promise of our future. And with that, I ask Pennsylvania, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. And now, welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. He's going to cry, bro. Please don't cry.
Wow. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro. Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire? He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows when you need a bridge fixed, call that guy. And I think sometimes we forget, and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience, there is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him. Than that guy. Bruce. And I can't wait for all of you and America to get to know my incredible wife, Gwen, a 29-year public school educator.
My fucking goat!
Don't ever underestimate teachers. And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America.
Motherfucker, name one of his children Gus, bro. Is such a lock.
As a district attorney,
you can't be whiter than
Attorney
that.
General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States.
You love that he claps for his own speech? It's actually a socialist leader trait. I'm not even joking.
Vice President Harris has fought on the side of the American people.
It says that it shows in
the predators,
crowd psychology, it shows that you're a part of the group that you're speaking to. You're speaking with,
she
not
stood up
to.
against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated.
Slavoj Žižek has talked extensively about how Stalin used to do this.
People's lives. And I want all of you to hold this, and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy. I know a little something about that commitment to people. I was born in West Point, Nebraska. I lived in Butte, a small town of 400, where community was a way of life. Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good. My dad served in the Army during the Korean War, and with his encouragement, at 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves. And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education.
Dude, that's so sick. Openly writing like what is like the closest that you can get to unconditional social
in their
fire.
footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. It's what we do. For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football. Including winning that state championship. So thank you. Don't ever close the yearbook. Don't ever. But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them.
I believe this.
Commitment
I don't
of
think
common
he had
good.
any fucking.
A belief that one person
I don't think he.
can make
I don't
a
think he
difference.
thought he was like running
So
for
in
president.
2006, I took a leap and
He's
I
the
ran for
opposite.
Congress.
He's literally the opposite of fucking Shapiro in that regard.
And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives. I'm proud of the work we did there together. I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values. And now, as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing our great state. Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
Yeah, he's the complete opposite of Biden, who's a corrupt career politician. He's a normal guy who rose to the merit from the bottom.
Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us.
I think repackaging socialism or socialist policies or social safety nets as neighborliness is so fire. I'm nutting, dude.
He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Oh! Fucking got him! Oh, that's a banger! Okay, come on. Come on, hold on now. Hold the phone, hold the door, hold the phone.
You know, some of us are... Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office.
Yes.
In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make.
Patient doctor, no third party.
Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
I'm nutting again. He's making me nut. Never has a 60-year-old bald man made me nut like this.
These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look, that includes IVF. And this gets personal for me and my family.
Oh, God. Oh, who's doing it?
When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't
Oh my God, I can't wait for the Groypers to be like, his seed was weak.
That when we welcome our daughter into the world,
they're going to be even grosser and weirder, and then Americans are going to be even more negatively polarized. What is happening right now? We got a hype train going.
When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own health care decisions. And for our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classrooms. By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. Oh my God. Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in? He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms. To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago. Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs on middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you are, they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country. J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda. Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So. See what I did there? Look. I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see. So you know what's out there, so say it with me. We aren't going back. We aren't going back. We are not going back.
He made a couch comment. I missed it. I was tweeting.
So we got 91 days. My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead.
He's the method, bro. He's the method.
Over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back. Every single day. And we'll have yours. You know how this works. We can't do it alone. We need you, each and every one of you. Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Freedom to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you. My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back. She believes in the opportunity for every single person to join the middle class. She believes in the promise of America. We just got to fight. We just got to fight. Because as soon-to-be President Harris says, when we fight, we win! Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Vice President. God bless America.
I'm just going to say one thing. Holy fuck, dude. I'm not used to the Democratic Party being competent and making right decisions, but that's what it feels like when they actually do. I mean, this is like every single thing that I said would be the best possible scenario, and they followed through on it. Yes, I will go back to the couch clip in a second. Now, one thing I have to mention here. Is the reason why I say Kamala Harris is like, she's all right in terms of like being an orator, is because think about the difference between her and the speech that she delivered versus the way that Tim Walz was delivering his speech. Like, the reality of the matter is he's pretty fucking solid. He is naturally charismatic in a kind of goofy, endearing way. I think that he plays really well to the base. It's a great contrast. Kamala Harris is incredibly educated, obviously like represents one pathway in the American dream, coming from a family being raised by a single mother, immigrant parents, and just like and you know, becoming the vice president now, running for president. Like, that shit is really, really captivating in terms of representation. It's really captivating for a lot of people of color across the board. That is a story that a lot of people share in this country, right? On the other hand, you got Tim Walz, also coming from a working class background, literal fucking farmhand shit, from Arkansas or Nebraska. Okay. Becoming a teacher, serving the military, like, it's just, he is so authentic. He comes across very authentic, very endearing. I think that, I mean, this is a really, really fucking solid, this is a really solid ticket. Walz's home county in Nebraska is larger than Connecticut, but with only 5,500 people. Phenomenal. I think phenomenal overall. He didn't even stop the thing. He just talks and talks. Let's see what MSNBC has to say, and then we'll tune into the Copium Factory.
Running mate, vast majority of Americans saying they don't have an opinion of him because they do not know him.